Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Alzon Hudjavani, Director of Digital Media for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Michael Langston's here, says recruiting news at the top of your screen. That's what we got. But the real good news stuff, when dudes say they want to come to Florida State and they're like one of the 50 best players in the country, that deserves a thumbs up, right, Michael?
Yeah, always hit the like button when you get really good news like this, guys. We want you to hit the like button. Certainly hit it helps us promote all these great articles and great features and certainly great news. So with this one coming up, so yeah, hit the like button for us, guys.
Look at this dude. His name is Keldric Faulk. He goes to Highland Home High School in Alabama. Their mascot, the Flying Squadron. Can't
There
get
you
better
go.
than that. He's 6'5", Michael, 255 pounds. That's a GAM. That's a grown
Hmm.
man. Um, 53 in the nation. Look at this. He's from Bama. Nick offered him. Looks like Harson offered him. Arkansas offered him. This is a big one, right, Michael? This is big.
Yeah, this is massive. Just in, forget the fact that it's a main position in need that FSU wanted to address, but just getting somebody nationally as a top 50 player or basically a top 50 player and a guy that really can give you ignite buzz with your recruiting can affect other guys from the state of Alabama or people that are around him and certainly a big day for FSU that was much needed. They needed some recruiting momentum after we had there's Roger Kearney committed, and then it's kind of a little bit stale here and there. There's a commitment here and there from there. Just with adding a guy like Demarco Ward, but uh, with a guy like Keldric Faulk, that really moves the needle and it addresses a big, massive position need for FSU at defensive end. And this guy that's a premier pass rusher. So you're adding not just a premier player, but you're also adding some much needed recruiting buzz.
I mean, you mentioned he's an elite pass rusher. What makes him elite, Michael, you think, looking at his film?
Yeah, I think the first thing that jumps out to me with when I watch Keldrick is the way he uses his hands. He's got a long range. He can get to people really quickly because of the way he closes down on balls as far as the pass rush, but also just he's just so elite getting off the line. I think that's the area he's improved the most from his sophomore to junior year. You see a guy that just before it was kind of like he utilizes speed because we see a lot of stuff where he's doing receiver stuff and certainly is athletic to do that. But I think the thing that's really changed his game and moved him up the ranks is that hand placement. He's done a much better job as far as how he gets off blocks, but also gaining an advantage with leverage. I mean, that's a big deal for defensive ends, and you see that a lot with Keldrick in this pass rush, and then a lot of these clips you see just not just receiver, but as a defensive end, he's closing on passing lanes where you can do screens, and he gets in the way. He knocks passes down, so kind of a little bit of everything. I always loved him against the run. I think that's where his biggest strength was, with his game. But I think now he's added that pass rush to his game, and certainly the way he gets off the line is makes him now the premier prospect and an elite one that schools like Auburn and Clemson. You mentioned Alabama, all these schools that wanted him came down to FSU, Clemson, and Auburn. Those were the teams we heard, and I think to win that kind of battle, it has lasting effects on other recruits. Because if you can win that one based on how your team has looked on the product on the field, I think that's a big deal with a guy like Keldrick Faulk.
Look at this guy, man. He's like taking a jet sweep to the house. Michael, we mentioned, 31 offers, multitude of SEC programs, and not to slander our own environment here, but there might be a little bit more appealing options there if you're a young man from the state of Alabama. How do you think Florida State ultimately, John Papuchis and Mike Norvell were able to kind of convince him to go ahead and make a pledge like this at this point?
I think he visited FSU like 4 or 5 times, although Keltrick said he's like 6 or 7. But he visited FSU a lot, especially if anybody's been to Highland Home, Alabama. That's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. So that's not like right next door. So I think the fact that when he visited other places like Auburn, Clemson, and other schools, and this is no slight to those schools, but there was a different feeling when he was at FSU. He said that both in the official visit interview when he finished his visit here at FSU, and then two after he committed. I think other schools it was kind of a inconsistent feeling, but I think with FSU it was the same feeling. Very strong relationships. JP did an incredible job with this recruitment. Now JP has two 4-star, who I think are two top 100 4-stars, to be honest with you, and Lamont Green and Keldric. And I think they just did a really good job. And then two, the thing that we don't discuss as much is the job that the head coach did with Mike Norvell. They did a fantastic job. It was incredible. Just the connection he had with Norvell was a little bit different than I think a lot of most coaches. We kind of saw that, and the people saw that with kind of the picture we posted when he was officially visiting, at his arm around Coach Norvell, and you could tell just the connection was a little bit different, more special. So I think the relationships were a big deal, but also he believes in kind of where they're going, what they're building, and he was kind of in the Roderick Kearney mode of, hey, I want to be a part of something that's special, that's building up, not something that, oh, this school's already good. There's a lot of great schools, and to your point, yeah, there's schools that probably are better situations for him than on the field product. But I think from a fit standpoint, I think FSU had everything he was looking for, and I think they just closed the deal. And JP Norvell and the whole staff just did an incredible job. Austin Tucker too, as well, one of their support staff guys that's really connected with uh, Keldric from the start. So I think as a staff as a whole, they worked this one. This is their guy, and they got their man.
All right, there we go. That's the 10th commitment for the class of 2023. This is a 2023. There's urgency here. So now Florida State moves just outside, or just inside rather, the top 40 now with 37. So not a bad day for a quiet period day, right, Michael?
It's a really good day. It's a massive day actually for FSU. It's game changing because you need something to ignite your class, and this ignites it. When you get a top 50 kid, that always ignites your class. Now it could lead into other guys with decisions coming up. I know there's a big one with Lucas Simmons. I think they got a pretty solid chance there with Lucas, and then Avery Stewart, who I think probably I would lean towards Kentucky, but you never know. These kind of things can impact decisions. Avery's from Montgomery, Alabama, so you never know. You never know how they works the magic, but regardless of whatever happens, you've ignited the recruiting momentum again, and this is something they needed. You needed to beat somebody that's a premier program, that's a solid, consistent program, or has been, compared to what FSU's been on the field. So I think it's a big deal, a massive deal for FSU. So we'll see if they can keep the momentum going.
All right. And to find that out, go to the premium recruiting board, warchant.com. Check it out. Michael, Austin Cox got you covered. Ira Schofeld chipping in. And don't forget the replay of Seminole Headlines also up on our YouTube page right now. So, Michael, thank you for the access to all your information, man. Appreciate it.
You got it, bud.